70,000 years ago, our species was just one of several types of humans wandering the planet, physically unremarkable and far from dominant. So how did Homo sapiens end up building cities, writing laws, launching rockets, and reshaping the entire planet? That's the question Yuval Noah Harari sets out to answer in Sapiens, tracing the entire arc of human history from ancient foragers to the modern world. Harari organizes this sweeping story around three major revolutions. Revolution 1. The cognitive revolution. Around 70,000 years ago, something changed in how Homo sapiens thought and communicated. Harari argues the key breakthrough wasn't just language itself. Other animals communicate too, but our unique ability to talk about things that don't physically exist. Myths, gods, nations, money, and human rights are all things Harari calls shared fictions. None of them exist in physical reality, yet believing in them together allowed large groups of unrelated strangers to cooperate at a scale no other species could match. This is one of the book's biggest ideas. Chimpanzees can cooperate in small groups because they know each other personally, but they can't organize thousands of strangers around a shared idea. Humans can, because we can collectively believe in things like countries, corporations, and currencies. Fictions that only work because enough people agree to treat them as real. Revolution 2, the agricultural revolution. About 12,000 years ago, humans began domesticating plants and animals instead of foraging and hunting. Conventional wisdom treats this as an unambiguous leap forward for humanity. Harari challenges that assumption directly, calling it, provocatively, history's biggest fraud. His argument is this: farming allowed populations to grow, but it didn't necessarily make individual lives better. Skeletal evidence suggests early farmers often worked harder, ate a less varied diet, and suffered more disease than their forager ancestors. Agriculture, Harari argues, didn't domesticate wheat for humanity's benefit. In a sense, wheat domesticated humans, tying them to backbreaking labor, fixed settlements, and unpredictable harvests. From agriculture came surplus food, and from surplus came the first real hierarchies: kings, priests, and eventually empires and organized religions, all built on those same shared fictions from the cognitive revolution, just at a much larger scale. Idea: the power of shared myths in maintaining order. Harari spends significant time on how large-scale human cooperation is sustained. Legal systems, religious doctrines, and national identities all function as widely believed stories that coordinate behavior among people who will never meet each other. Money, in particular, gets special attention. Harari calls it the most universal and efficient system of mutual trust ever devised, because people who share no language, culture, or values will still accept the same currency in exchange for goods. Revolution 3. The scientific revolution. Starting around 500 years ago, Harari identifies a major shift in how humans related to knowledge itself. Earlier belief systems generally assumed everything important was already known, contained in ancient texts or religious tradition. The scientific revolution began with a radically different premise: an admission of ignorance, paired with the belief that systematic observation and experimentation could uncover new knowledge. Harari links this directly to European imperialism and capitalism, arguing that the drive to explore, conquer, and economically expand was deeply intertwined with the new scientific mindset, each one funding and accelerating the other. Idea: capitalism as a belief system. Harari treats modern economic growth itself as another shared fiction, resting on the belief that tomorrow will produce more resources than today. This belief, he argues, is what allows credit and investment to function, fueling a cycle of growth that has reshaped nearly every aspect of the modern world, for better and for worse. Idea: happiness across history. Toward the end of the book, Harari raises an uncomfortable question: Did all this progress, from foraging to farming to empires to modern industry, actually make humans happier? He points out that historians rarely study this directly, and that the evidence we do have doesn't clearly support the assumption that more technology, more wealth, or more comfort has produced more genuine well-being. Idea: the future of Homo sapiens. In the book's final sections, Harari looks ahead to biotechnology, genetic engineering, and artificial intelligence, suggesting that Homo sapiens may be approaching another transformation as significant as the cognitive revolution, this time with the power to intentionally redesign our own biology, rather than simply being shaped by natural evolution. So, what's the big takeaway from Sapiens? Harari's central argument is that human dominance on this planet was never really about physical strength or even individual intelligence. It was about our unique capacity to believe in shared, invisible ideas, myths, money, nations, and religions, and organize massive numbers of strangers around those ideas. Understanding that this entire framework is a construction, rather than a fixed natural order, is what Harari argues gives us the perspective to question it and potentially reshape it going forward.